now time for the Billy C. Show, part of the BillyCBoxing.com network.
And we're coming to you live, I think, from the Billy C. Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C. Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening, whenever you're watching. I hope you're doing okay today. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located on St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simon's for an authentic Italian meal. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week television channel. That's right. Check out Billy C. Boxing on TV. All the major streaming services carry us, Roku, etc., etc., etc. Just visit GinicoUSA.com to sign up for free and check out where you can watch us. That's GinicoUSA.com. Or just click the banner up on BillyCBoxing.com. And finally, today's show is also being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold, including BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com. Just go there and get a copy today. Anyway, a little discombobulated today, running late because of some technical issues. And we'll see what happens. I don't know if it's being actually recorded today or not. We'll see. I know all my radio stations will be getting the show, so I'm not concerned there. But as far as everybody else, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? But in any event, I wanted to talk about some stuff with the show today, of course. Some fight results that took place, some big news for us, some sad news for us. All of that stuff is coming up a little bit later on the show. First and foremost, I want to start the show on a sad note. My co-host, Sal Rocky Senecola, in case you've noticed he hasn't been around, is battling an illness right now, and we are going to reach out to him at some point this morning, and get his thoughts on the big fight that's coming up, Canelo versus Daniel Jacobs. And speaking of Canelo versus Daniel Jacobs, one of the big news that we had that we've been talking about, we wanted to talk about it last week. We didn't because of the holiday, but we're going to talk about it today. This show, Billy C. Boxing, Talking Boxing with Billy C., Billy C. Boxing, the Billy C. Morning Show, the Billy C. Show, everything that you want to call it, will be live in Las Vegas for the Daniel Jacobs-Canelo Alvarez fight. That's right. We are going to be part of something that I think is going to become a regular occurrence. They have what they're calling Radio Row or Podcast Row. A lot of shows are going to be there, and we're going to be part of it. On Thursday at the MGM Grand, we will be broadcasting most of the day, as is the case with our show. We like to be tops. So we plan to go on air sometime around 11 or 12, I would say 11 a.m. Vegas time. So that's, what is that, Pacific time. And go right on through 5 p.m. Western time there, not Eastern time. I'm going to be all messed up, but we will be doing that. We will have some great guests. The lineup of guests are unbelievable. So you're going to want to definitely check this out. For sure. Dax is going to be there. Alex Papali will be there. We wanted my man Sal to be there, but he can't really travel right now. So hopefully the next time he will be there. So just stay tuned. Check out the website for information. Dax is going to be doing some social media. We want you to join us. I'm getting some information on the public accessibility to the event. Now, don't fear, because we will be also at the weigh-in, and we will be at the show itself, the Canelo Daniel Jacobs event at the T-Mobile Arena. So we will be there getting recording, film, and interviews, et cetera, that we will play at a later date. So we're real excited about this. But first and foremost, let's get the ball rolling here. Nonito Donaire knocked out his late sub, Stefan Young, yesterday in the World Boxing Super Series in the bantamweight division. Retained his WBA belt. Donaire now 40 wins, 5 losses, with 26 of his wins coming by knockout. Also on the card, Regis Prograis improved to 24-0 and picked up the WBA strap with his win, knockout win over Kirill Rilke. It was 1 minute and 36 seconds of round 6. Some other fights from yesterday I just want to give you results on. Robert Easter Jr. And Rancis Barthélemy fought to a draw. 21 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw now, 14 knockouts for Easter. Barthélemy, 27 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, and 14 knockouts as well. The way the judges scored it, 115, 113 for each of them. And the other judge, of course, had it 114, 114. I have never seen as many draws as we've been having lately. And it just seems that when you see something related to PBC, you end up seeing a draw. It's sickening. It's sickening. And what's also sickening in that particular fight were the fighters. I mean, come on, you're fighting for a world title, all right? You're fighting for a world title. It was a vacant world title. Both of these guys were former world champions. Both of these guys should be hungry for a world title. And both of these guys didn't fight like they wanted to win. Neither one of them did. This looked like it was a sparring session. This looked like a, hey, what do you feel like doing? I don't know. Let's throw some jabs at each other. What a boring fight. What a boring fight. One of the reasons why I think the Brits carry boxing on their shoulders, on their back, if you will, is because they're not afraid to fight each other at a young age. They recognize, the fans, the media, the networks, etc., they recognize that a fighter can lose a fight and not be done and not lose marketability. So what do? They actually create more fanfare by putting young fighters in with each other earlier on than we do here in the States. In the heavyweight division, Daniel Dubois improved to 11-0 when he knocked out Richard Lartey in the 4th round Saturday night in London at 1 minute and 50 seconds. But here's the thing. Another hot prospect in the heavyweight division over in England is Joe Joyce. Guess what? They're planning on fighting each other. You know, that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be, in my opinion. And speaking of heavyweights, American heavyweight F.A. Algeba improved to 10-0 with 9 knockouts when he scored a second-round stoppage over former German champion Michael Wallach, who dropped to 19-2. The official time was 1 minute and 40 seconds. That was on the undercard of Victor Postol's 10-round unanimous decision win over Mohamed Minomi to improve to 31-2 with 12 of his knockouts. Some things I wanted to touch base on real quick, and you guys knew I would. And then I'm going to take a break and get my man Dax on. Jarrell Miller, okay? Now, you guys know. You guys know how I feel about Jarrell Miller, right? You know, here's the thing that bothers me. You know, Jarrell Miller talked all kinds of crap. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, all kinds of crap. This guy talked, and what do we get? We get this guy failing the drug test not once but twice. He loses his opportunity to fight Anthony Joshua. He cried and said, I don't know, I didn't knowingly put. And then when the second test came out, he at least admitted it, that he did indeed cheat. Here's the thing. a guy like Jarrell Miller, who talked the smack that he did, it boggles my mind how he thought that he would get away with it. Now, I have purposely stayed away from trying to get too deep into, performance-enhancing drugs in terms of what's what and everything else. But I do want to know, what was he thinking? I mean, give me a break. What was this man thinking when he was taking the same stuff that the bicyclist Armstrong was using? Just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. And I got to let you know that Anthony Joshua's promoter as well, Eddie Hearn, says, I can't believe it. Now, here's another little twist. They offered a fight to Luis Ortiz, $5 million. I think that's more than he's ever made before. And he turns it down and says, nah, I want 10. What an idiot. Luis Ortiz. I can't understand that. The thing is everybody's acting like Eddie Hearn, you're going to get buku dollars if you fight one of his fighters. You know what? Just because Eddie Hearn was smart enough to position himself where he's at now, to align himself with the zone, et cetera, and do all the things, sign all these fighters, does he have a lot of power and juice? Of course he does. Of course he does. But that doesn't mean that fighters should, try and take advantage. I mean, Luis Ortiz lost a $5 million payday by holding out. Now, chances are he may be able to get another shot, but they're already talking to Andy Ruiz Jr. as a possible substitute. Make no mistake, Anthony Joshua is going to fight in New York in May. But who's he going to fight? We'll have to see, unless that fight's in June. I think it is in May. I think it's the end of May. Anyway, some other news that was a little shocking. Triple G split from his longtime trainer, Abel Sanchez. I'm a little surprised with that. I guess it had to do with money or something. I don't know. I think it's a big mistake. Big mistake. But anyway, listen, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, I'm going to have Dax Khan on the phone. And we are going to start talking about the event we're going to be doing and give you our breakdowns and predictions of the big fight, Saul Canelo Alvarez going up against Daniel Jacobs. And I got news for you. This is a really good fight, and it's not going to be a one-sided fight. Trust me, it is not. Canelo Alvarez has bit off more than he possibly can chew. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, Dax Khan joins us. So don't go anywhere.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Billy C will be right back.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money.
It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
Need relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt. The innovative technology works to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Get your patient with back
should be wearing this belt?
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
You know, similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but my belt won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace? Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And joining us right now is my man, Dax Khan. Good morning, Dax.
Hey, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. Better than this, my system seems to be doing. I don't know what where we're going here. I know I know the radio stations are getting us and everything, but you said we're okay on YouTube. I don't even see us up on YouTube. I know we're up on Facebook. So what's going on, brother?
I don't know, Bill. You're like one of my kids. I don't know what happened.
It wasn't me. I didn't do it.
Yeah, my kids say the same thing. Well, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. I sat there and watched you do it. Bill, I'm listening to you. Screw it up.
I don't know. It's been very nerve-wracking. Well, anyway, I made the announcement earlier, so whoever is watching or listening knows that you and myself and Alex will be out in Las Vegas for the big Canelo Daniel Jacobs fight. I'm really looking forward to it. You know the deal. What's your thoughts real quick?
On the fight itself or just the trip?
Well, just the trip first. We'll break down the fight in a second. Hey, the trip is more important to me right now. No, that's obviously not true.
No, absolutely excited for the trip. It's going to be great. You know, we have a lot of big-name guests that are coming on the show. We're going to keep, quiet until then. Unfortunately, Sal can't come with us, like you said, but it's going to be a great time. And anybody that's out there, you know what? If you're a fan, you watch the show all the time, stop by the booth, and maybe you can come on the show and you can give your opinion.
That's what we're going to be shooting for. We're going to be shooting for having people join us and all of that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that. And, of course, the fight at the T-Mobile Arena. I've never been there, so I'm really psyched about that. As far as the fight itself, I know you and I talked a bit about it off air, and we're going to be talking a lot about it coming up over the next week. But what's your early thoughts of the fight? And I'm not going to hold you to your official prediction until we're out in Vegas. But what do you see as pros and cons for both fighters here?
Well, first I want to say is that, this has a genuine middleweight unification title feel, meaning that, you're actually excited for it because neither one of these guys do you sit there and say, well, they're both good, but fighter A is not in fighter B's league, even though they're both champions. This right here is really hard to pick. There's no catch weight. There is no A side because both fighters are with powerhouse promoters. Daniel Jacobs has a large following, not quite as big as Canelo's, but Jacobs has really become one of the sport's premier fighters, and I don't mean PBC premier, the organization that he left, but I'm talking about where Daniel Jacobs has really just become one of those fighters that is at the top of his game. That when you talk about the best in the sport, you think Daniel Jacobs automatically. Just like Canelo, they both faced Triple G, and actually in the fight with Triple G, I think Daniel Jacobs in his fight with Triple G did a lot better than Canelo did in his first fight with Triple G. Daniel Jacobs, he only has 2 losses in his career. He has that Pirog loss, which was literally a career ago, and then he has that Triple G loss, which was very close, and he had pushed Triple G to his limit. That's the first time we had ever really seen Triple G push that hard. Canelo has been on a chair, but let's be honest. Other than the Triple G fights, he's fought Rocky Fielding. He fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who was nothing more than a punching bag, not Canelo's fault. He had the Liam Smith win. But, Canelo has not really been in a fight of this magnitude, meaning somebody that is this size, somebody that is at this stage of their career, and somebody who is a little bit faster, somebody who's just a little bit more well-rounded than Canelo. And, so I'll say now, I really think if all scores are fair, I think Daniel Jacobs is going to outbox Canelo. And what people do forget is Daniel Jacobs, if he hurts you, he's an incredible finisher. He's one of the best finishers in the sport.
I tell you something. I've looked at this fight, and, you and I have talked, and I've said the same thing over and over about Canelo. And I really think that his weakness, so to speak. And, there's no doubt. If you look at Saul Canelo Alvarez's resume, the last 9 years, since his win over Carlos Baldomir, he's really, you can make an argument for him, Dax. And I know you're just as critical as I am. Maybe not on the same things, but you're just as critical as I am in a lot of areas. But when I look at the Saul Canelo Alvarez's career over the last 9 years, since the win over Baldomir, it would be hard to argue that the man has fought the best opposition available, at least in 2 forms, either current talent level or a big name, maybe not as good as they were. And when you look at all of the names, and I got to give him credit for that. He doesn't seem to be ducking anyone. This Daniel Jacobs fight is a clear indication of that. But of all those fights over almost a decade, and then, of course, you could really take it from the Floyd Mayweather fight in 2013, which is 6 years ago already. He hasn't improved on his weakness. And that, my friend, as I've told you many times, is that when he's moving and boxing, he can't land a significant punch. What he does is he never hurts his opponent. When he hurts his opponent, he's in front of him, planted, and lets off some body shots or whatever. I think that lack of his ability to land a significant punch on the move, like all great fighters have done in the past, is going to be his Achilles heel, so to speak, against Daniel Jacobs. Because you know what, Dax? Daniel Jacobs can land significant punches on the move.
Yes, he can, and we've seen that before. And Daniel Jacobs has transitioned a lot after the Triple G fight to where he's become more boxer than he has puncher, even though he has incredible power in his hands. Now, Canelo, though, one thing you have to say about him is, yes, no, he's not good at fighting backwards. He does have to plant his feet before he lands a solid shot that, can really hurt an opponent. But he is one of the best counterpunchers in the game. His counterpunching ability has risen levels, in my opinion. And right now, I really don't think there's too many guys in the sport that are a better counterpuncher than him. But, unless his feet are planted and he's able to do that counter punching, against a guy like Jacobs, who is much bigger than Canelo naturally, who is a hard puncher, who's able to go, and fight all those different styles. It's going to be very hard for Canelo to do that. So now, just to address somebody in the chat room was talking about, the scorecards and Adelaide Bird judging the fight. Shook my head. Me and you spoke about that the other day off air about Adelaide Bird being involved in this fight and a lot of the complaints with Adelaide Bird in fights in the past. But, Adelaide Bird, believe it or not, when Canelo fought Amir Khan, Adelaide Bird is the only one that actually had Canelo down on the scorecards at the time of the stoppage.
I don't know. I have a hard time giving her any credit.
I do too, but I'm just saying, with Adelaide Bird, you never know what you're going to get. Just because she's in there, it's not guaranteed her scoring is going to be, the worst scoring.
What do you think? Let's get back to the fight real quick. Not that that's not related, but let's get to the fight real quick. Do you think that the height and reach advantage for Daniel Jacobs is going to really come into play? I mean, considering that Canelo Alvarez is a vicious bodywork fighter, he could lay some vicious body shots on his opponents, and considering Daniel Jacobs has hand speed, probably more than Saul has faced, and I say that even knowing that he fought Floyd Mayweather, who clearly has hand speed. Floyd moves too much. I think that Daniel Jacobs, his hand speed is going to be more effective because he's bigger, stronger, and going to be right there. Do you think that the size difference is going to come into play?
Daniel Jacobs knows how to use his size properly, and that's going to be the difference. Now, Daniel Jacobs is no Rocky Fielding, who I believe is actually bigger than Jacobs physically overall. So Daniel Jacobs, and that's what the difference, and that's what separates him, is the fact that he knows how to use his complete package. And even though Triple G cuts the ring off better, and Triple G, is a harder puncher, you want to say, in terms of one-punch ability, Daniel Jacobs is more rounded than Triple G was, and the infighting is what allowed Canelo to be so successful against Triple G. Daniel Jacobs isn't going to allow him to infight, and Daniel Jacobs is not going to allow him to plant his feet. Daniel Jacobs is going to keep turning him, and Daniel Jacobs, if he hurts you, I stress, if he hurts you and he gets you on those ropes, Daniel Jacobs will finish you. A lot of people, I know that they say now Peter Quillen was overrated, and maybe, yes, he was a bit overrated, but I always use that fight as a prime example. Peter Quillen, the moment he was hurt, Daniel Jacobs did not let him breathe, and Daniel Jacobs stopped him in tremendous fashion. And look for that to happen in this fight if Canelo should even be slightly buzzed. Canelo has been buzzed before, and the movement of Miguel Cotto, a blown-up 140-pound, well past it, Miguel Cotto, and that's no disrespect. I love Cotto. He had a great career. But if he couldn't stop him with his movement, how is he going to do that to Daniel Jacobs, who's much larger, much stronger, moves better around that ring, and who is in his prime and only getting better?
That's, I mean, there is an age difference. Saul Alvarez is 4 years younger, but all of a sudden he's 28 years old. He's been in some big fights. And Daniel Jacobs, who's 32, seems to have been getting a little better. Listen, do you feel, forget about all the BS, do you feel that Danny Jacobs has to knock Saul Canelo Alvarez out to get a win in this fight? I mean, none of us really want to think that. None of us hope that that's the case. But in all honesty, do you think that that is the case?
I really don't think so, considering the way boxing has been recently. We've seen Charlo lose to Harrison. We've seen a lot of fights that were guys we figure are always going to get that judge's nod, lose fights. So I don't think so. If it wasn't for the fact that Eddie Hearn is involved and it wasn't for DAZN being involved, I could maybe say, you know what? They would, because they have nothing to lose. But we know this sport right here, a lot has to do with not who you know, but more or less who you blow, if you want to be honest. And that's what happens in Vegas. And right now with Eddie Hearn and so many fighters and Canelo on that same network and that pool of other middleweights where any of them could be matched up all on that same network, I think we're going to get some honest judging here. But again, I won't be surprised if we don't get honest judging.
When I take a look at the middleweight division, it's a glamour division. Everyone kind of loves this division, or at least I do. heavyweights, middleweights, welterweights are always the glamour divisions, or have been for a long time. But let me ask you a question. In all honesty, could the middleweight division be in its weakest point in a long time? And before you respond, if you take Saul Canelo Alvarez, Triple G, Daniel Jacobs out of the mix, those top three, the next guys you got are Charlo, Jeff Horn, Lemieux, Deverenchenko, Demetrius Andrade, Rob Brandt. I mean, it's not a chock full of talent division, or at least we don't know, because a lot of those guys, the Charlos and the Lemieux, well, not Lemieux and Jeff Horn, they fought some name people, but Demetrius Andrade, I mean, some of these guys haven't really fought the names that the top three have.
This is true. Demetrius Andrade, I give him a pass only because of his promoter and promotional issues that we've had in the past. Remember, his promoter is the reason why he lost his first world title, because his promoter just could not get the paperwork in order. But other than that, when you look at that division, take out Lemieux, okay. But, Ryota Murata, despite that loss that he suffered to Rob Brandt, is definitely a top fighter. Maybe not an elite fighter, but he's a world-class top fighter. Rob Brandt, the only loss he has on his resume is to the much more experienced multi-time world champion Jürgen Brähmer, and he learned a lot from that Brähmer fight. Rob Brandt right now is the guy that's starting to come up high onto the into his own, more or less, to say, with his punch output. Sergey Derevchenko, his fight against Daniel Jacobs was a learning experience. Derevchenko is a guy who, again, because he doesn't have a lot of experience as a professional, is not that well-rounded, but he's definitely a top talented guy. Charlo is, a top fighter. We've seen a lot of weaknesses with him in his last fight against Matty Korobov. But, again, we also do know that Charlo was more or less hand-fed a lot of his opponents in the 154-pound division. Golovkin, he's on his way out. But, a guy who I also think is underrated in that division is Sluecki a lot of times. Sluecki is very quality, as a top-quality fighter. As far as the rest of the division, yes, it's starting to fade. It's weak. But right now, if you take those four guys that we mentioned, the other three, I think the division is very solid. And a lot of those 154-pound guys are going to have to move up very soon. Jarrett Hurd is not going to be able to stay at 154 pounds much longer, and so on and so forth. So the division, look for it, to get a lot better.
Well, I hope it gets better. I don't see an infusion of a lot of young middleweights coming out. I see welterweights. I see a lot of good heavyweight, young heavyweights, or at least, I don't see an infusion of a lot of young middleweights coming out. I see welterweights. I see a lot of good.
I see Jaime Muniga is going to have to move up very soon. He can't make that 154.
Heavyweight, young heavyweights.
Jarrett Hurd, as I mentioned, I believe he's going to move up very soon. I think Jermell Charlo was going to move up very soon as well. So, maybe Tony Harris might move up as well. So, you know what? Don't, Carlos Adames, he's going to move up, I believe. So, that division soon is going to be chock full. These guys that are at 154 pounds, the fact that they've been able to remain at 154 pounds so long is amazing. And guys like a Jarrett Hurd or a guy like Jaime Muniga, if they still continue to try making 154 pounds, they're going to tax their body to a point where, it's going to shorten their careers.
Dax, before we let you go, I wanted to get your thoughts on the Jarrell Big Baby Miller episode. We didn't get a chance to talk. Actually, I want to get your thoughts on two things. First, the Jarrell Big Baby Miller, all the smack talk that this fraud, and I've been calling him a fraud for a long time, did, and then he gets caught not once but twice preparing for Anthony Joshua. The only good thing is that he owned up to it finally when he knew he had no place to run. But what's your thoughts on this? After all the stuff that he says in the media, and I've been very critical of all these fighters that just, try to self-promote. You've said it yourself. We get it with Deontay Wilder. They self-promote. They say outrageous things to try to get attention and stuff. And Jarrell Miller is no different, saying how bad of an ass he is and all of this stuff. I was pissed that he was ranked as high as he was by the sanctioning bodies and the computer, only to have him test positive for performance-enhancing drugs, lose his opportunity to fight Anthony Joshua, lose his opportunity for a huge payday, and lose a lot of credibility, which I didn't think he should have gotten to begin with. But right now, I think it would be very hard for even his biggest fan to show support. What's your thoughts on the whole outcome with Miller?
The first test, with the GW 15-16, you can kind of say, all right, maybe even though he should have known that they were on Nevada ban list, you can claim ignorance on that. It was a stupid move. But then that second test, when he tested positive for HGH, there's no doubt about that now. There's no way you can make an excuse for that. But in terms of, career-wise, even if you'd went in there, you fought Anthony Joshua, you lost in 4 rounds or 5 rounds, your career's not over. You lost to arguably the best heavyweight in the sport today. You're still going to be a top name. It was a humongous payday. It was the type of payday that, even if after that fight you decided you didn't want to fight again, you're set for life. Your kids are set. You'd be able to open up a business. That's life-changing money. So I don't really understand why you would do such a thing to your career. It's foolish. I mean, it really is. It's foolish. It's insane. And right now I think Big Baby Miller is walking down the street kicking himself with 1 foot every single step he takes. I don't understand why you would do that. It's beyond me, especially when there's so much money involved. Why would you do that? And now, no matter what he does, even if he becomes a clean fighter and he goes out there and he performs well and he actually dominates and lives up to the skills that he claimed he has, nobody's going to take him seriously, and it's going to always just be a downhill a downhill race for now on for the rest of his career. Miller, he just totally blew it. I don't understand why or how you could possibly do that. On the other hand, though, I don't understand how Luis Ortiz at the tail end of his career turned down more money than he's ever made so far, not to face Anthony Joshua. I don't know what goes through these guys' minds.
One last thing. Triple G kicks Abel Sanchez to the curb. It shocked me. A guy like Triple G, who's clearly on the downswing of his career, who's been working with Abel Sanchez for so long, I can't see how another trainer could step in and be successful with Triple G, especially at this stage of his career. I don't get that. To me, that is one of the most perplexing moves that I've seen in a long time. And don't get me wrong, we've seen fighters, kick their trainers, longtime trainers, to the curb many, many times. But I'm not so sure I've seen it with such significance as this particular duo. I mean, Abel Sanchez and Triple G have been very successful. Every time I've watched a fight, specifically the 2 Canelo fights, where we're all screaming from the couch for Triple G to throw more punches, well, that's the same instruction Triple G is getting from Abel Sanchez in the corner. And to turn around and get rid of this guy, I mean, is it a case where he just wants to be, Floyd Mayweather-esque, meaning that he controls what's going on in the corner? I mean, what's your thoughts on this?
I really don't know. And first off, I do agree. It's foolish at this stage of his career. There does come a point in time in a fighter's career when you have so many fights. You take Triple G's almost 400 amateur fights. You take his pro career. There's not really much any trainer can teach them. They pretty much learned all there is to learn. Bernard Hopkins is a prime example. The guys that worked his corner towards the end, they were there to work his corner, maybe give a little bit of extra advice, but you weren't teaching Bernard Hopkins anything new. Same thing with Triple G after all this time that he's been in the ring as a professional and an amateur. The separation, though, at this point in time is foolish because a lot of guys are going to sit there and question exactly what really happened, who's telling the real story. And when you're 37 years old, the tail end of your career, and there are a lot of younger upcoming prospects, any top trainer is really going to question working with you. They're going to say into this guy, knowing that he's had problems with his long-term trainer, when I have so many other prospects that are on the rise that can really benefit from my knowledge. Then on the other side, like we spoke about before, Abel Sanchez, we've heard this before from Kovalev. You can say, okay, maybe it's one guy or maybe two guys that are just unhappy and they're just not cooperative. But, when more than one person complains about somebody or trainer, especially somebody that's been together a long time and they had that much success, you have to really wonder, is it really the trainer or is it really the fighters? We never know. The only people that do know is Abel Sanchez and Gennady Golovkin. So, I really have to reserve my opinion on that. I would have been nice, for Golovkin, who only has 3 or 4 more fights left in his career at that top level, if they stayed together, because you're right, they made a fantastic team. And last thing, before we go, I have to mention, Bill, we spoke about this before. I was so impressed with the performance of Juan Francisco Estrada on Friday night against Sorung Visai. The way he dominated a genuine, legitimate top 10 pound-for-pound fighter. And you know what? Estrada is a guy who has, even in his losses, he's never been dominated. Some of them were very questionable. Tell me your opinion on that. Does he deserve to be in that top 10 pound-for-pound spot? I think he does.
Estrada, he had that one poor outing, but I think that like I told you yesterday, Rungzavel, I think he had Chocolito's number. I think that, I don't know. I give Francisco a lot of credit as far as pound for pound. I like the small guys getting an opportunity because of the lack of publicity, but it's a good argument, brother. It really is.
Rung Visai universally recognized at the lower part, usually around 9 or 10 on that pound-for-pound list. So, Estrada, should he be able to take over that right away, considering how dominant he was? That was a one-sided fight. The other thing we spoke about, and we were saying about judges before, usually we complain about this wide score of 117, 111, or 118, 110. That was the first time that I've ever remember being on social media or listening to a broadcast team saying they can't believe that every score was not that wide.
Yeah, well, this is my point about judges. Boxing has become, you got to knock your opponent out to clearly win, or knock him down a few times. It was evident in the fight that got me yesterday, last night, the Robert Easter fight. Both Easter and Barthélemy looked like they didn't want the fight. They're both fighting for another chance at a title, and they're playing pitter-pat with each other for 12 rounds. The fighter has to want the fight. The fighter has to go in there and win. I think just across the board, fighters have a tendency today to fight a little too cautiously, like they're fighting multiple fights. Like those two last night said, "Oh, we want a rematch." Who wants to watch that? The rematches are only good when the first fight is exceptional, or something fluky happens. Like the Daniel Jacobs Sergio Mora fight. With the leg injury, etc. Something crazy happens, you want to see a rematch, or a great fight, you want to see a rematch, or a controversial ending, you want to see a rematch. When you see a snooze fest, that's the last fight I want to watch again. What do you think?
Those two, the signing of the fight didn't excite me at all. Robert Easter, was a good fighter. He's never been an exciting fighter. Same thing with Barthélemy. His fights always end up painful to watch due to there's always some kind of drama, whether or not it's a lot of holding, whether or not it's, an awkward style. There's just always something about the fight, even when it's, going smoothly, that makes you turn your head. But I'll be honest, and I'll keep to my word, and I said this on social media, I did not cover the fight. I did not watch the fight. I won't discuss the fight simply because Terrell Williams was on the fight, and any promoter that has Terrell Williams, one of the dirtiest fighters in the sport, especially after what he did to Pritchard Colon, I will not watch or support their cards.
That's a good point. Dax, can't wait for Vegas next week, or this week coming up. Looking forward to doing that show and hanging with you and Alex. And
me and Alex will be there this week, and you know what? Next week, you let us know where you've been.
All right.
Enjoy the day, everybody.
Sounds good. Dax, take it easy. That's my man, Dax Khan. As usual, loving to bust my chops here. So I'm not going to take a break. We are going to get Alex Propali on the line here, get his thoughts about what's going on with our event. But like I said, In case you're just tuning in, we were having some technical difficulties here. Not me. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't me. It really wasn't. It was our streaming service. But we will be doing this show. The bottom line is this. Golden Boy is promoting the big fight, Canelo against Jacobs. And what it's going to be is they have, obviously, the fight's Saturday night at the T-Mobile Arena. You can watch it on DAZN. If you haven't subscribed, it's definitely worth the $20 a month. So, all of those happy things. And what's happened lately in the last, I guess it's been about the last 10 years, the weigh-ins are always a big show. So you got Friday and Saturday in Las Vegas, the weigh-in show that's going to be broadcast, and then of course the main show, the event, Canelo Jacobs on Saturday night. But no, wait, there's more, ladies and gentlemen, because now what we're going to be doing is I don't know, they used to call press row or in this case they're labeling it podcast row, and there's in the MGM Center there's going to be a bunch of basically TV and radio shows, mostly radio. We're one of the only TV and radio shows. Actually, it's mostly podcasts. But in any event, we will be doing our show on all of our platforms, being TV, radio, podcast, internet, YouTube, etc., live on Thursday. We are going to try to get on live as early as possible. I am actually still a little bit in the dark with the accessibility to our area, setup and all of that. But I am shooting for 11 a.m. Vegas time, Pacific time. So that's what, 11, 12, 1 p.m. Eastern time to go live, and we're going to go right through right around 5 p.m. So we're going to have a series of guests, and the lineup is unbelievable of some of the people. I mean, just some of the names that will be joining us. Of course, Oscar De La Hoya, Bernard Hopkins. We got Roberto Duran. We got Vitaly Klitschko. We got Miguel Cotto. I mean, all these people are going to be joining us, as well as I'm trying to see if the public is involved, because I'll have some of my own people that are out in Vegas come and join us. So you're definitely going to want to tune in to this, and we'll be hitting it with social media and everything else. If you can't be out in Vegas and join us, make sure you get this fight. It's going to be a good one. And joining me right now to get his thoughts is my man, Alex Perpali. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Billy C. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. So what do you think? What's your thoughts on the trip?
I'm very excited. I can't wait. I have not been back to Vegas. I haven't been to Vegas in 13 years, so I'm really looking forward to going back. And the last time I was out there was for Mosley De La Hoya 2. So this will be cool to 13 years, I'm sure the Strip has been torn down and rebuilt all over again.
Yeah, it has.
Maybe more than once. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
You know what's funny about Vegas is the first time I ever went, I could talk about it now. I wasn't really legally old enough to go. I think I was 18 or 19. And it has changed so much in those 78 years. The truth of the matter is one thing I remember back in the 80s, the first times I went compared to now, and I haven't been there in about 5 years at least. Back in the day, Las Vegas, the casinos would compete with each other. In other words, you could get, if you gambled enough, you'd get comped rooms. They had buffet. I'm not a big buffet guy, but buffets, they would, $9.99. I remember Caesar's Palace, $9.99. You go in there and they're slicing fresh turkey and roast beef and all this. I mean, anything you can imagine. And then they would be competing, and over the years it went up a little here and there. But the last time I went to Vegas, and the rooms, you could get rooms dirt cheap and stuff. Last time I went to Vegas, there's no more of that. You want to go to Vegas, it's like, gold plated. Everything's expensive. All the old places that used to be old are just not there anymore. They like nobody renovated anything. They just knocked them down, and it's going to be interesting to see any changes that have taken place in the last 5 years. But I'm psyched, brother.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think for some of those, I remember one trip we went. Boy, this had to be back in like 1999 or something. I remember we went to Slots of Fun, because Slots of Fun had a couple of specials and penny slots and stuff like that, and that's like in the older section of Vegas, the old strip.
Downtown, down like near the Golden Nugget. That a lot of that's still there. But the penny slots are always such a scam. You go to a penny slot and you figure, oh, well, I'm just going to play the penny slots. I'm going to save some money. The problem is, by the time you have all the crisscrosses on the screen, you can't even see it. You're dumping in $5 every pull. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not pennies, man. You're getting paid in pennies, but you're laying out more than that. I like the dollar slot. I don't even like slots, but if I'm going to play slots, I'll play the dollar slots. Vegas has 50-cent slots, which are pretty cool. But I'm a craps guy, man. I like playing craps. I like occasionally, if I want to slow down a bit, I'll sit down at the roulette wheel. And I like to, me, man. I like to, maybe sip on a scotch every now and then, so stuff like that. I'm looking forward to it, but it's all work. Hey, whoa. You sound like you're going there to have a good time. I'm going there to work. We're going to do this. I couldn't even get the show to come on the right way this morning, let alone what I'm going to be dealing with there, man. So let's talk a little about the fight itself. We'll get your official predictions when we're out in Vegas this week, but Saul Canelo Alvarez going up against Daniel Jacobs. I love this fight, Alex. I think that it's going to be a tough night for Canelo. Like I was saying to Dax earlier, for all due respect, Canelo in the last 9 years has fought the best of the best. I think that the middleweight division is a little weak, and I think that he happens to be fighting the other top middleweight aside from Triple G. What's your thoughts on, number one, the middleweight division in itself, and number two, how do you see this fight going?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think that's something that we got to give Canelo credit for. I mean, I think that's been previously one of the knocks on him, is that he sort of developed as a fighter in public. So some of his opposition in his early years was, less than spectacular. And like you mentioned earlier, he's got a lot of great names on his record, but he faced them when they were on the back end of their careers. However, you can simply not say that about him anymore. He has gone 24 hard, hotly contested rounds with the other best middleweight in the world, and that's Triple G. And he's come out arguably ahead, and now he's facing the other best middleweight there is, who also gave Triple G a hard time, and I believe took away Triple G's mystique, because before the Canelo fights, I thought Triple G's mystique kind of faded significantly the way Danny Jacobs gave him trouble, and I think that Danny Jacobs has that ability to give Canelo Alvarez trouble as well. Like you and Dax were just talking about, I think the big thing is that Daniel Jacobs is a mover. That's what really gave Golovkin some difficulty. Canelo's going to have to walk him down. Now, maybe he can, but we haven't seen him do that to a bigger, stronger, athletic guy like Jacobs. He did it to some degree against like Julio Cesar Chavez, but Chavez Jr. is nowhere in the same league of athleticism as Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs is going to be there for 12 rounds, and unless Canelo is able to kill that body, Daniel Jacobs is going to use his legs and his brain. So I do see this as a strategic fight, and I do think it's probably going to go the distance. I just looked at BoxRec, and they don't have Adelaide Byrd listed anymore. So I wonder if Eddie Hearn protested that decision, because I'm not sure Adelaide Byrd. I wouldn't be comfortable with her as a judge, only because of that really out of whack card she delivered in the first Triple G fight. 118, 110 just was a little too much. So it could be that they got her removed, because now BoxRec is saying it's Dave Moretti. I'm sorry, let me just look quickly. Dave Moretti, Glenn Feldman, and Steve Weisfeld. So they're bringing out another Connecticut guy in Glenn Feldman.
But since we got you going out there, there was one too many Connecticut guys going out there. I mean, come on. But no,
maybe me and Glenn could carpool to Bradley.
Yeah, I think I think it makes sense to get the best possible judges. But that's gutless, spineless piece of garbage, Bob Bennett's decision. But the truth of the matter is that Canelo Alvarez, like I've been saying for years, his weakness is, everybody knows what I say, the guy cannot land significant, what I mean by, a damaging punch on the move. And most boxers can. When you go time greats, and you can go down the list, and most of them, land a punch on the move, whether, you watch a guy like Lomachenko, he's moving in and out, side to side, circling around you, and he's still landing solid punches. Canelo can land punches, but they're not damaging unless he plants his feet, and then he's textbook. And that's when he delivers those body shots you speak of. That's when he gets his knockouts. When his opponents oblige him and stand in front of him, or if he can get his opponents against the ropes or in the corner, or wear them down so they can't move as much. But in order to wear a fighter down, you have to land punches. You got to get inside. You got to avoid their shots. Defensively, Saul Canelo Alvarez has never really. I've never thought of him as a slick defensive fighter. Daniel Jacobs has learned a lot. He's a bigger guy. He's got a 3.5-inch height advantage. He's got a 2.5-inch reach advantage. He's got hand speed. He's got power. Nobody can deny his power. His biggest weakness, in my opinion, is his trainer. I think his trainer, Andre Rozier, is Daniel Jacobs' biggest weakness. And the reason why I say that, after I give all the accolades to Danny Jacobs right now, is his trainer he's a Zen. He thinks it's all, mental. At times, you have to give more instruction, and I don't know if I'm just wrong and the instruction is being done like it's supposed to be in the gym, and they're just carrying out a game plan during the fight, which is really the smartest thing to do. And maybe I'm the idiot. Maybe Andre Rozier is a great trainer, but I think Daniel Jacobs is a great fighter versus having a great trainer. There's been reverse. There's been many times when you look at what Manny Stewart did for Lennox Lewis. I can't wait to see Dax's face when Lennox Lewis is sitting with us in Vegas. But Lennox Lewis needed a guy like Manny to bring out the best in him. Manny Stewart brought out the best in Klitschko. Is Andre Rozier the guy bringing out the best in Daniel Jacobs? I'm not so sure, Alex.
Yeah, well, and the other thing to remember with Manuel Stewart is I wonder if we were to ask Lennox Lewis when is the angriest he ever saw Emmanuel Stewart, and it was probably, for most people, it was probably during the Lennox Lewis versus Mike Tyson fight when Lennox was still intimidated to go in and just knock Tyson out, when Tyson was just a shell in front of him, and Emmanuel Stewart flipped out on him in the corner and is like, "What are you waiting for? You got a dead man in front of you."
But that sounded a little like Rocky. The Rocky's,
I know. Sorry about that.
But wait a minute. The the maddest I think I've ever seen. I want to give a shout out to my man Johnston, who just gave us a super chat. Appreciate it. Now we'll be able to have a coffee when we're out in Vegas. People got to hook us up with super chats so we can afford to eat while we're out there. But how about, what was the fight that Manny Stewart was doing commentating for, and he freaked out? He was so mad. Do you remember? It was the only time I've ever seen him get mad, even as a trainer. I can't remember the fight, but he was so disgusted with the outcome that he just went on and on and on. So unlike Manny Stewart. Do you remember?
I don't remember. No, but I remember his disgusted when Mayweather knocked out Victor Ortiz, and I also remember his "oh my God" when Victor Ortiz and Andre Berto had that back and forth slugfest in Connecticut here. But yeah, he I don't know. I guess my point about bringing that up was just that as much as the trainer is so important, the fighter still has to do the work. And I think that that instant there with Emmanuel Stewart and Lennox Lewis. Lennox was, he was painting the house nicely, but he needed his trainer to say, hey, Tyson's done, close the show. So I think that, Rozier and Jacobs have worked so far. And I think that's the big thing with trainers. And that's the weird thing about the Triple G Abel Sanchez thing, is that in terms of historically, it's hard not to think, at least for me growing up, the biggest example of a trainer-fighter relationship that had some magic to it, and then once it was gone, you never recaptured that magic, was Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson and Kevin Rooney. He was never the same fighter after he got rid of Kevin Rooney. So you wonder, is that going to happen with a Triple G? I don't know. That's always a strange thing. I think in terms of Jacobs and Rozier, they work well together. But yeah, when it comes down to it, Canelo has shown us that he can do almost anything in the ring. So I think if he, at least in those two Golovkin fights, he showed us that he could hang back and he could counterpunch and he could let the other guy lead and he could make a damn close fight, as some people did think he won the first one. And then in the second fight, he showed, oh no, I don't have to lead. I'll come right to you. So I don't know. This is going to be interesting because the movement is the big factor. Canelo has just what you need to slow movement down, and that's really, really dangerous body punching. So this is going to be a fun fight, I think. That's for sure.
Another super chat. I want to give a shout out to my man Joel. Everybody's glad that we're going to be in Vegas. I hope you guys come out. Come on out. If you weren't going to go to Vegas, now you got the real reason to go. We're going to be there. Forget about Canelo and Daniel Jacobs. We're going to be there, man. Come on and see us. Yeah. And make sure you go see the fight. But
right. If the gambling, the prostitution, the legal marijuana, the boxing, if that wasn't enough for you, we'll be there.
We'll be there. That's right. They don't call it Sin City for nothing, but in any event, Alex, what's your thoughts on the big baby Jarrell Miller thing? You knew I was going to ask you. You know how much I love the guy. What has this done to him now long term? Because personally, I hope I never see him ever again in the ring.
I was very disappointed with my fat brother because I really wanted to see that fight. I like Big Baby Miller because he was sort of in this mold of like a Tony Tubbs type fighter who's a portly guy who lets his hands go and has surprisingly quick hands. But now we know that maybe they were sort of enhanced. At least that's the thing that when they pop a Dirty Urns, and he didn't pop one, it was two, right?
Yeah. And the funny thing is, after the first one, he goes, this is a travesty. It's an error. I don't know how anything got in my system. And then 2 days later, by the way, you tested bad again. Oh, okay, I'll come clean. I knew it.
Yeah.
I did it. I made a bad decision, So that didn't help, though.
So you do, at least for me, I wondered, because the thing that was strange about him was he seemed to carry so much body fat and yet was able to have endurance that you wouldn't expect carrying that much weight. Do you wonder, it's easy now to say, well, that's because he was chemically enhanced, because one of the chemicals evidently was for endurance. And that's the thing.
And recovery too.
Yeah, and I mean, when you think about it with boxing, those are probably the substances you want, is endurance, more than, the sort of like just plain power, because, power's great if you get your hand to the target, but, I think endurance is the thing that's going to serve you better in a boxing match, traditionally. But I guess maybe Juan Manuel Marquez would argue with me.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, in all due respect, as much as Jarrell Miller is not one of my faves, he never tested positive before that I know of. So, really he could say this was the only time. It was the biggest fight. I was fighting a guy I knew I didn't have a chance against, et cetera, et cetera. And he tried to get the edge. So I don't know about that, but I say good riddance to him. How about Luis Ortiz, a guy, actually, you called I called two of his fights, and I think you were definitely there for one. We saw him early on. We both liked him. I've seen him live a bunch of times, aside from those two, but he gets the call to fight Anthony Joshua to step in. They offer him $5 million. And he says, nah, I want 10. And Eddie Hearn hung up the phone, and now it looks like Andy Ruiz Jr. might get the call. What's your thoughts on him turning down that fight? I mean, did you catch some of my comments about how these opponents, when they get a call from Eddie Hearn, how they might be overpricing themselves? Because it's pretty obvious that Eddie Hearn's the man right now in the sport of boxing.
Yeah, he certainly seems to be. And I do think that, I don't understand it in terms of logic. You would think that Ortiz, unless he has heard whispers that a potential rematch with Deontay Wilder would make more, I don't get why he would turn down $5 million, especially to be able to fight, in New York and against a big name like that. But I guess that's the thing. Nowadays, they want the event itself to be the business opportunity. They don't want it to lead to more opportunities, which makes sense because, this is a dangerous sport. You can get killed in there. So I don't know. It's disappointing for me because I would have liked to see that. It would have given us a good measure to see, well, how does Anthony Joshua do with Ortiz? Because we've already seen how Deontay Wilder does with him. But now we're not going to get to see that. I think that's disappointing. But I'm not too shocked he priced himself out of it. But it is certainly disappointing, and it is one of those things. What are these guys thinking?
Is he aligned with Uncle Al Heyman?
I don't know that he is, but I think that it's probably one of those things. Yeah, I really don't know.
Because that would be the only explanation, that he, because it seems that Al Heyman's guys, unless they're, being hand-fed a cupcake or fighting another Al Heyman guy, they are always outpricing themselves. It's like they're avoiding fighting outside of the Al Heyman world. And, what boggles my mind is why. Because if they were making the buku dollars, I could see it, but they're not. Deontay Wilder has left, millions and millions and millions of dollars on the table to avoid the fight, and now Luis Ortiz is doing the same. as much as I love Anthony Joshua, I don't look at him as invincible like I did with Mike Tyson at one time, So I'm just shocked. I'm shocked.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I wonder if there isn't the hope that if they stayed, that's what this is purely supposition on my part. But if he's thinking, well, that's too dangerous of a fight. If I hang around with the PBC crowd and just price myself out of this, it looks like I'm interested, but I still protect the ability to hang around and maybe get the next fight with Deontay Wilder after he fights Brazil. And then I get a lot of money for that. I don't know what these guys are thinking because it doesn't make sense to me. I would think you'd want, but again, that is a dangerous fight. So maybe, a guy like Ortiz wants to think of himself, as not as a replacement opponent. He wants to be a star attraction. So, rather than just say no to the fight, well, price yourself out.
Yeah, well, and then cry that you didn't get what you deserved, et cetera, et cetera. But in any event, Alex, I got an appointment. Did you make the dinner reservations for us or what, man?
I will do that today. Yeah.
You have two places on your list that you have to do, and the other ones will play by ear. But I mean, come on, man. I mean,
I can do that. Well, I guess the one I'm wondering is what time for Thursday, but
I think 7 p.m. 8 p.m. is good. 7 or 8 Wednesday. We're probably looking around the same time because we do have another stop to make on Wednesday. But in any event, come on, man! Stop sitting around on the couch, man. Get some work done.
I tell you, I've had a lot of fun with Google Maps. One of the things that I think that we should try to do for the audience would really enjoy it is I did find where Mayweather Boxing Club is.
Don't do it to me. Don't do it to me.
But I think that we should, me and Dax should bring you there and take a nice photo of you standing in front of it, and we could put it as your header profile picture on Facebook.
I've been to Top Rank's place, never Floyd's, but yeah, I mean, we got to do what we got to do. Hey, I'll take one for the team, But anyway, Dax, Alex, I'm looking forward to hooking up with you and Dax this week, man. So make those reservations. I'm already going to start fasting.
Will do. And I just wanted to say that my heart goes out to Sal, and I am rooting for him 100% here, and he's just a great guy, and I really wish him the very best.
I'm going to try and get him on the line right now. So, Alex, we'll be seeing you in a couple days, brother.
All right, Billy C. Take care. Peace.
Take care. That's Alex Papali, and you'll be looking for him next week or this week. I keep like Dax said, Alex and Dax will be there this week. I'll be showing up next week, and I'll be late. But in any event, it's unfortunate that my man Sal won't be able to on that we're looking at. But I'm going to try to get him on the phone right now, as a matter of fact, because I wanted to talk with Sal if he's going to be around, and I think we might have him on the phone right now. Are you there, Sal?
I am here, Billy C. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, my man, and I'm so glad that we have the opportunity to talk with you via phone. We just had some discussion with Alex and Dax and myself pertaining to the big fight that's taking place this upcoming weekend. Saul Canelo Alvarez going up against Daniel Jacobs. Sal, what's your thoughts on this fight, my man?
let me tell you something, Billy. I listened to this show since 7:45 this morning. As our UK friends would say, you guys have been spot on. And let me tell you, it's an educational show. It was fabulous. You guys are right on. The only thing I do want to say is I do consider, for all the multifaceted reasons you've discussed, that Vasily Lomachenko, in my heart of hearts, is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world today. I will give Terence Crawford number 2. And you know what? After next weekend, who knows where that shift may change, because they're going to both look stellar. Terence Crawford is gonna stop Amir Khan, and probably before 5. And I love the analogy you or the guys made with Vasily Lomachenko. He's like a computer. He'll assess and he'll digress. He'll analyze and he'll take the situation with the first round, and then that processor will go into program mode, and it's all over. It's lights out for whoever's on the other side of the ring.
Hey, you know, Sal, you've been tied up with your own battle, so let me fill you in. You were dead on with Amir Khan fighting and losing, because the fight already took place, and Terence Crawford accidentally hit him below the belt, and then Amir Khan quit. And he quit. So that was something that already took place. So we're gonna miss you out in Vegas next week. I wish that, or this week coming up, I wish that you were able to come. But I know you're battling your own battle right now, and from what I understand, you got your opponent against the ropes.
Billy, I got the dream team of physicians. I've got the dream team of a community behind me with the prayers, and I'm going to fight the fight of my life, and I'm going to win.
I know you are, Sal, and everybody that's involved with this show is pulling for you and praying for you. And Rocky Senecola didn't get the name Rocky because you curled up in a corner and let your opponents beat on you. So I know that you're going to knock this thing out, and we'll look forward to the next trip we take out, because after you win by knockout, you're not even winning by TKO, Sal. You're winning by knockout, and we'll get you
through the good glory of God and miracles, and through Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, who's gonna heal me and help me, and I'm gonna make it, pal.
Well, I know you are, Sal. I know you're dealing with some prep stuff now, and we will be reaching out to you during the week, and hopefully you can join us at least by phone when we're out in Vegas on Thursday, because this show is certainly not the same without you, Sal.
No, and I would love that opportunity, and I feel it happening, and I think it's possible. And like I said, I'm so blessed by so many people with their well wishes and prayers, and like I said, I feel at this time, I got my dream team, I got strategy. I'm going to break down and assess and do what I got to do to win. And that's what fighters do. You got to fight to win, and that's what I'm doing.
Well,
that's Aaron Pryor's favorite line.
Well, if anyone can fight to win the way you do, everybody will win. So, Sal, hang in there, brother. You know I love you, and I'll be in touch.
I love you.
And we will have you on the show on Thursday, man. I'll be looking forward to it.
Absolutely, and I love the Billy C fight community and all the people involved with it. And Billy, you created a legacy, and like I said, today's show was just so informative, so educational, and so spot on. And there's some great fights coming up, and like I always said, boxing is in a reboot stage, and it's going to flourish, and it's going to come back.
Well, it's on its way back, and you can lead it by winning your own fight. Go win by knockout, brother.
I will, my friend. I thank you so much for this opportunity. I want to say hi and thank you to all of our community out there and fans, and God bless and praise the Lord. And I thank you for the opportunity and having me come out and say hi.
Well, listen, brother, we'll be talking to you again, and it'll be on Thursday. I'll be in touch with you later in the week.
We will. Thank you. I appreciate it, Billy.
All right, go pay attention to what you got to do, will you?
I will. Thank you, buddy.
I love you, Sal. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Ciao. Talk to you later. Let's talk. Bye.
That's my man, Sal Rocky Senecola, in the fight of his life right now. And, my prayers go out to him on a regular basis. Although we've been doing this show for 15 years, and we've had some great people involved with this show, and we currently still have some great people involved with this show. The show, as Sal's been in his fight, it's just not the same without Sal, and I'm hoping that his recovery is speedy, and he gets back on track as soon as possible. He's in a tough one, boys and girls. He's certainly in a tough battle, but Sal is the kind of guy that wins. He's a winner. He's won at his career in boxing as a pro, as an amateur. Let's go back to the amateur stage. He won. He was a winner in the amateurs. He was a winner in the service, in the United States service, in the Army. He was a winner in amateur boxing. He was a winner in professional boxing. He's a winner in the business community, where he has been successful, not only in his current business, Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria, an Italian restaurant, but also in previous ventures. If you follow Sal's life, you will see nothing but wins and victories and overcoming challenges, because that's what Sal does. He challenges himself and then beats the challenge. Sal did that when he got put in the Guinness Book of World Records, when everyone told him he was nuts to come back after 25 years plus of being retired from the ring. Sal beat the odds and came back, and as usual, came back as a winner. I'm not expecting him to not win this battle, because when Sal puts his mind to it, and when Sal focuses, Sal is an unbeatable force. And if anybody can focus enough to beat what Sal's going through right now, it is Sal Rocky Senecola. And right now, Sal is torn in a lot of different directions, mentally, physically, emotionally, etc. But his battle is coming into focus. As a matter of fact, by Tuesday of this upcoming week, he will be able to totally focus on the battle at hand. He's been going through some stages of maybe pre-battle, preparing himself, his body, etc., for what's going to be coming up. And I know by Tuesday he will be finished with the first part of it, and we'll be entering in the main part afterwards. And I am very confident that my man will come out victorious. So prayers for my man Sal Rocky Senecola. He's a winner, always has been, and always will be. So take that one to the bank. Anyway, we look forward to seeing you guys either on air or out in Vegas with us. We will be in town in Las Vegas on Wednesday. We will be doing our show on Thursday. Please check out BillyCBoxing.com and all of our social media. Dax will be working on that. We will be getting some preliminary articles out. If you're not coming to Vegas, and if you're not getting tickets to the T-Mobile Arena, make sure that you have DAZN, because that's where this great mega fight will be shown on DAZN. DAZN. You can get that streaming device. It's only $19.99 a month. And if you are coming out to Vegas, make sure you stay at the MGM. That's where we'll be. And we'll be looking forward to it. So, hey, boys and girls, don't forget to pray for my man Sal Rocky Senecola. And the next time you see us, we'll be live in Las Vegas for a long broadcast, and I can't wait. So, hey, make sure you tune in. You know the day. You know the time. Until then, ciao, baby.